How's it going, guys? I'm Theo Joe, and with all this news talking about this coronavirus potentially going around, I thought I would kind of divert from my usual technology videos and talk about different types of respirator masks that I've been just doing my own research on out of my own personal curiosity. I'm not an expert in any way, but I have done a bunch of different research on the different ratings, the different types of masks, and I can share my own personal opinion about which ones you might want to consider, especially considering that they are selling out very quickly. So you can learn with this video maybe the equivalents of the N95 mask, what these other ratings mean. So if one sells out, you can say, oh, well, I'll just go for this other type, that sort of thing. Also, I don't want to seem alarmist. I'm not trying to say, oh, you need to go buy a mask or anything. Literally, I just want to make an informational video about the masks themselves if you are curious about the different types. So first, here's a quick summary of the different points I'll be talking about, the major topics. So first of all, we'll go over what exactly a respirator is, because spoiler alert, it does not need to look like this big honking thing to be a respirator, but you should get a respirator. So we'll talk about exactly what that means. Then we can go over the different rating systems like N95, P100, what does that mean? And also ones by other countries. So if one rating mask sells out all over the place, you can potentially search for the equivalent used by other countries and get the same thing. And then we can go over the different styles of masks, like what's the difference between these, my opinion on which ones you should get if you have to choose one, and then some other random tips that might be useful as well. So to start off, one of the first and most important things I would say is you want to be searching and looking for respirators specifically. I would be very cautious about buying anything online that's only labeled as being a breathing mask or a dust mask. Anything that does not have an actual respirator regulated rating might not be any better than literally holding a rag up in front of your face. So you're specifically looking for something called a respirator. And like I mentioned, when you hear the word respirator, you might be assuming it's this big style mask with the interchangeable filters. That is one style, but it can also be a disposable respirator that looks like this. You can see on here, this has the N95 rating. It is a respirator. This is the 3M 8000 style. So it can just be looking like a dust mask style, but it is a respirator nonetheless. In regards to surgical masks, I would definitely avoid those if at all possible. They might be better than nothing, obviously, but from my understanding, the biggest problem with them is they basically have no seal, so they will just suck in air from the sides. They're designed to protect other people from you, so a patient from being spit on by the surgeon, for example. They're not designed to filter incoming air at all, from my understanding. That being said, I have seen at least one study showing that if you can somehow get a perfect seal with a surgical mask, it is better than nothing and can have decent protection. So if you absolutely have to use a surgical mask, you have no other option, I would suggest literally like taping the edges. You can use like micropore medical tape and literally tape the edges. But again, I probably wouldn't even rely on that. It's not going to be nearly as good as the actual rated respirator. Also, if you're looking online, be suspicious of certain listings. For example, this one looks to me like someone just literally took regular surgical masks and listed them on Amazon as N95 masks, where I believe this is a scam, in my opinion. I do not think these are actual N95 respirators. I think someone just is taking advantage of people searching for N95 and is just listing regular surgical masks as that. So I think that's a scam. Be careful of these and go probably with only reputable companies like 3M or other companies you can search for and see if they actually are legitimately regulated masks. All right, so now that you know you need to get a respirator, we can go over the different rating systems and the equivalents in different countries. So we can start off with the United States. In this case, the ratings are determined by the NIOSH, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. So with this system, it's going to be a letter and number code. So the letter is going to be either N, R, or P, and the number is either going to be 95, 99, or 100. The letter code actually tells you how resistant the filter is to oil, interestingly enough. So N stands for not oil proof, the R stands for resistant to oil, and the P stands for oil proof. Then the number will tell you what percentage of airborne particles can be filtered out by that filter in a worst case scenario testing. So 95 filters out 95% of particles, 99 filters out 99%, and then 100 filters out almost 100% at 99.97%. And after we go over the different country equivalents, we can go over which of these are recommended by the CDC and which ones you might want to consider. So next up, we can go over the European Union rating system. This is a P and FFP code rating system. So you'll see either P1, P2, and P3 ratings, or FFP1, FFP2, and FFP3 ratings. And again, these have to do with what percentage of airborne particles are filtered out. And from what I understand, the only difference between the P and FFP rating systems just have to do with like the shape of the mask, but the equivalents of the amount that each filters out are the same. So P1 and FFP1 both filter out 80%, so I wouldn't go with that one. The P2 and FFP2 filter out 94%, and then the P3 and FFP3 both filter out 99.95%. And then the third rating system I've come across is the one used in Korea. This is the KF rating system, similar numbers to the European Union. So KF80 is 80% filtered out, KF94 is 94%, and then KF99 is 99%. I'm not sure if it's any more than 99% exactly. The figures I've seen literally just say 99%. As for which rating you would want to get, the CDC recommends for healthcare workers, even people who are like encountering sick people, they recommend at least N95, or I think they just recommend N95, not even anything higher than that. So the equivalent would be a P2 or FFP2 in the EU system, or KF94 in the Korea system. Obviously, it would not hurt to get a system better than that, and I'm not sure if they do recommend higher than that if you can get it, but that's going to be your decision anyway. As for oil resistance in the US system, like R and P type filters, I don't think those are necessary. I believe those are more for like if you're using oil-based paint and spraying them, or you're spraying pesticides that have oil base, that sort of thing. I think that's what those are really made for. And I haven't seen any CDC recommendations that suggest that you need to have any oil resistance. So that's one of those things where, I mean, if you want to get a filter that you can use for any type of project, then maybe you just want to go ahead and get a oil resistance filter anyway, but you certainly don't need to get one based on what I've come across. One important thing to remember though is no matter what rating filter you get, it relies on a excellent, perfect seal around your face. So if you have any facial hair, even this much, I would probably not trust. I would go clean shaven if I actually was going into an area with sick people. So if you have a long beard or whatever, definitely you're gonna have to shave it off, or else it's going to allow air in and you're gonna completely negate any filtration that you have in the mask. Now, as for different styles of respirators, I have two examples here we can go over, and then which one I like the best. So first we can go over this disposable type. This is the 3M 8000 model. It is N95, despite looking like the most basic type of one you can imagine. It basically is just a dust mask, but it is rated as a N95 respirator, and it literally just goes over your mouth like this, and there's two of these rubber bands, and you get a seal. This is not correct, by the way. I'll try to get it correct. I would spend more time on this, but basically there's a little metal piece here that you kind of bend to try to get a good seal against your nose, but it's really not ideal. I would probably not trust this because you can't really be super sure if there's not any cracks on the sides or whatever. This is not easy to fit at all, but again, it'd be better than nothing. If I was literally going into a area with sick people and this is all I had, I probably would try to like tape down the edges or something like that. Now, this other style respirator is obviously way bigger. I believe this might be called a half mask style, but I'm not sure. It's just the kind with the interchangeable filters on it. And this particular one is the 3M 6000 series respirator. And with these, there are a ton of different types of filters you can get. On the 3M website, you'll see they have a whole list of the options. So there's particulate filters, there's gas vapor filters. I would not get the gas vapor only ones. I don't believe those are rated for protecting against any kind of particle, including viruses. So you want to either get a particulate filter or a gas and particulate filter combo, which is this style. This is actually one of the higher rated ones. This is P100, so this protects against pretty much everything, gas and particulate. And this is another size I have. You can see what they look like without the filters on it. They just attach on right here. Now, as for which style is better, in my opinion, and if I had to go out with sick people around everywhere, I would definitely go with this style for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a lot easier to check the fit and seal, because what you can do is literally put it on your face and then cover up the vent holes and just see if you can breathe in at all and if there's any air coming in the sides. If there's not, then you know it's a good seal. And then you can do the same thing even when the filters are on. You can cover up these sides filters and see if you can breathe in at all, even with the filters on, and then you know that there is no leakage. Whereas with these, I mean, it's really hard to test the seal as well as you would with this one. I mean, you can kind of feel maybe if you feel any air coming in the sides, but then also with this metal piece, this is really the only way to customize how it fits with the contour of your face. I don't know if I would trust it as much, but I mean, obviously if you can get both types, that would be the best of both worlds. But if I had to rely on one, I would go with one of these. A big downside for these though, first of all, is they're a lot more expensive. So you're probably gonna pay at least like $20 for just the mask itself, and then the filters can cost anywhere from like $7 to $10 for each filter, or like $20 for a pack if you get the really high-end kind. And based on what I've seen, even the most basic N95 interchangeable filters are like $7 per set at least. But one thing to consider, of course, is those might last a lot longer. These, you're supposed to throw them out on every use. So with these interchangeable ones, you can reuse them a little bit, at least for several hours. Again, that's all gonna have to be down to you. Another possible downside is wearing for a long time. These are probably gonna be a little bit less comfortable because these filters and the whole mask is kind of heavy. So this means you have to strap it around your head pretty tight. So if you're wearing this for several hours, on top of making it harder to breathe through a filter in general, this thing is gonna be on your face pretty snugly, so just consider all that. Another thing to consider when you're looking for which rating of filter is the higher the rating, probably the harder it is to breathe through. So with the P100 filter, it is a little bit laborious to breathe through. So if you are older or you're really out of shape, you might just want to stick with the N95, because with this, you know, going out for, I don't know, a few minutes with this on probably is not going to be that difficult. But if you get nervous, you try to breathe really hard or whatever, and you have this thing on which is really restricting your breathing, which it's supposed to if it's working correctly, just the way it filters, it shouldn't be easy to breathe through any type of mask, then that is something to consider. You might not want to just go with the most powerful one, and then it's harder to breathe if you have to wear this for like many hours. As for the price of these disposable ones, usually they are very cheap. I bought a pack of these of like 30 of them back in 2016 for less than $20, and they do have a shelf life of 5 years, so I'm just kind of barely within the shelf life. But now I've seen similar packs of N95 disposables that are going for like $40, $50 plus from third-party sellers on Amazon, because all the regular ones at normal prices are completely sold out. So really, you might go online, and unless you want to spend like $100 for a pack, this big type might be literally your only option, or the most economical option anyway. And based on what I've seen, this style still is in stock, whereas the disposable kinds are pretty much all sold out everywhere unless you do want to pay a huge markup, whereas these are pretty much available still at normal prices. And interestingly, you might think, well, they're selling out because everyone's panicking, they all want to buy a mask in case it comes to America or your country or whatever. Apparently that's not the case. What I've seen is the reason a lot of these are selling out is because a lot of people are buying them to basically resell, to send to China and sell at a huge markup, or to send to family. But I've seen pictures, there's one picture on Reddit someone posted in, I believe, Seattle, someone literally buying out the entire stock of masks at Home Depot, I guess to send to China to be able to sell at a premium and make a profit, which I think is absolutely disgusting, but you can't really stop them. I think some stores have now implemented limits. But if you do see them selling out, that could be the reason, and it might sell out sooner than you think. Now, as for some other tips, I should also point out you need to protect your eyes in some way, because obviously you can breathe in airborne particles of the virus, but you could also get some in your eye if someone spits or whatever. So you should wear some type of eye protection, either safety glasses. I've even seen people wearing swimming goggles. That's not a bad idea at all, to protect your eyes from getting anything in there. Another important point is, in addition to your eyes and breathing in, you don't want to touch anything that's contaminated and then touch your face while you're not wearing a mask. So once you go to take this off, definitely wash your hands before you touch anything else, including your face, or else you will get contaminated that way, and then this can't help you. So anyway, I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about, so let me know in the comments if you found this video helpful. If you want to keep watching, another related video I made a while ago that you might find interesting is talking about 13 cool tools that you might have never heard of before. I'll just put that link right here if you want to click on that and check that out. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.